Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the show where we interview the nation's leading real estate entrepreneurs. Welcome to the show if you're joining us for the first time, and welcome back if you're joining us for the second, third, or 100th time. It's your host, Steven Schmidt, and I'm here with my new friend, Justin. And I forgot to ask again. I'm known at this point for not asking how to say last names. Is it Piche?
It's Piche.
Piche, of course. It's exactly like I would think it is from my classic Latin background.
I've heard so many variations of my last name in the years that I've been alive. The only place to ever get it like right consistently is Louisiana. People in Louisiana
kidding.
They know it. They got it.
It almost is a very Louisiana last name too, Piche. Like that sounds like some Louisiana stuff in my opinion.
I'm not from Louisiana. I went to LSU. I'm not from Louisiana, but they knew it. They knew it when I was.
It's all the French people that have ran down in the culture there from over time. So Justin,
that's exactly right.
Justin's been in real estate for a whole long time. Has a wonderful and colorful career that we'll probably dive into a little bit here as well, and his whole thing is land. So before we get into the conversation, just remember, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their businesses to allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted, to allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. With that being said, Justin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steven. Good to be here.
Yeah, happy to have this conversation with you, my friend. So for all of our sake, can you just give us a little bit of a context as to how you got started and how you've gotten to where you're at today?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely did not have any kind of background in real estate investing before just doing it. Like I would say the majority of people. I grew up in Houston. I went to Louisiana State University. I was a chemical engineer there. And I actually joined the Navy while I was in college. So I graduated, commissioned, and then served in the Navy for 5 years on submarines. And then when I was getting out of the Navy, I started working at Amazon for a little bit in supply chain. And then my wife and I moved back to Houston. We were in Washington State, and I got a job at ExxonMobil in their supply chain, working at chemical plants and at the headquarters in Houston. And that was great. I mean, honestly, it was a well-paying kind of engineer, college-educated engineer type salary, pretty typical of the Houston area, or maybe a traditional trajectory of somebody who majors in chemical engineering. But my daughter was born in 2019. My oldest, I have 3 kids. My oldest was born in 2019. And right at the beginning of 2020, obviously COVID hit, and we had so much time to be at home and spend with family. It was incredible. It was just beautiful to lose the commute, and like be able to kind of be the master of my time a little bit more. Obviously, I still had to produce for the company, but I had a little more leeway to spend time as I saw fit. And then returned to work. It was fine. I changed jobs to work at a refinery or a chemical manufacturing plant rather, that was maybe an hour commute away from my house, and that got a little brutal. And then my second kid was born in September of 2021.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And my wife and I were in a position of having to hire somebody to, like a nanny, basically to wake our kids up, pick them up from daycare. And it just was untenable at that point. And so I had started buying single family houses, listen to every freaking Bigger Pockets podcast there was up until that point. Sure. Back in like 2017, 2018. So 2019, I started buying single family houses, doing the Burr method. And then I started wholesaling houses. So sent out a bunch of mail, got a few contracts, flipped a few contracts, bought one deal and sold it relatively quickly. And about that time, a good friend of mine had started investing in land, and he was buying, I don't know, he'd buy like 20 acres in Colorado for $15,000 and sell it for $50,000, or buy 10 acres here and double, triple his money. And I was going after houses that I'd be buying for 100, 150K, or at least get a contract for 100, 150K to hope to make 10 to 15,000 on an assignment, or, some sort of flip. And he was making more margin on 1/10 of the investment up front, or the 1/10 of the contract price, than I was. I was like, man, it seems like a pretty a risk-adjusted, like a much better risk-adjusted return. How do I do that? So I took profits from wholesaling. I bought a course in kind of coaching and land, and I'd say it took about 6 months before I quit my job and just went all in on growing and scaling a land business.
Now, obviously, you had a very good paying job. So to be able to quit that within 6 months of doing it, what was that like when you were in that 6-month process? Was that because the margins were just so high and you didn't want to do a ton of deals, or were you just hustling for those 6 months?
Yeah, it was a tough time, I would say, in my life, because I was working full time for ExxonMobil, and I just had a new baby, my second. And so my wife was on maternity leave, thankfully, during this time. But then she went back to work, and it was just chaotic at that moment. So I'd basically work a full-time job, hang out with my family, and then I'd work another full-time job scaling a business in the evening. Now, I had a couple of advantages. One, I'd been working for 10 years professionally in relatively high-paying roles for a while. So I had money, I had cash, I had some investments, some real estate investments that had played out already. And so I had a lot of money to buy inventory and spend on operations, spend on marketing. So I just was committed to replacing my income as quickly as possible. So I initially started sending out about 15,000 mailers a month. That was kind of my first go. I just started and boom, sending out those kind of mailers. And back then in 2021 timeframe, mail performed really well in the vacant land space. I would send out 10 or 15,000 and get 6, 7, 8 contracts from it that all were producing $15,000 to $100,000 of gross profit. And so that period of time was fantastic. I got a lot of contracts lined up, a lot of deals, closed a few, saw the potential, and then it was more of a calculation of, okay, I'm making a solid salary at Exxon as a kind of mid-level supervisor, manager person, but my time value is much higher in this entrepreneur role, where I can invest the same amount of time and instead turn it into many more dollars than just working for a paycheck at ExxonMobil.
Right. Now, you said something that was interesting that I gathered from the last piece you said there was it worked really well a few years ago. What changed with your mailers between then to now, and why are you not getting the same results, or do you not know? No,
I do. Like any kind of industry, real estate specifically, everybody has seen this flow of competition, right? And
if you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Five years ago, land investing was like just a super small
Nobody really
niche.
knew about it, talked about it.
Nobody
I didn't
really
hear
thought about
it.
it. Nobody talked about it. Yeah. I mean, listening to Bigger Pockets back then in 2017, 2018, I think I heard one guy across like hundreds of podcasts talk about land investing. Everybody else was talking about houses, house flipping, the Burr method, short-term. That's when kind of short-term rental kind of stuff started to blow up too. Like everybody was going after those niches, and land was just the wild, wild west. It was really easy for folks to send out mail. There's a lot more competition now, right? There's a lot more people that have entered the market, a lot more people sending mail, sending marketing. And so your marketing just performs not as well because people get multiple letters for their property. I think information has also improved, with Zillow valuations, and it's a lot easier for people to look up what their property might be worth as well. So the information arbitrage advantage that someone who is well-versed in an area may have had before, they don't have quite as much anymore. Those are some of the main reasons, I think.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Do you feel
like...
like...
That's not to say, real quick, that's not to say that mail doesn't perform. It still performs. It's just, you're not getting 10 contracts on a 10,000 piece mailer.
It's like back when we used to be able to text everybody before A2P started cracking down on things and the carriers and stuff. It's like, oh, we don't have to necessarily cold call 1,000 dials to get a deal. We can send out 1,000 texts, and out of that, like, people were getting way better responses, and then something comes in and creates that to no longer be the case for you to be able to do it, right? So it's just about the ebbs and the flows of the market and other factors that aren't there. Am I wrong there?
No, that's right. I mean, that's one of the things about kind of cold marketing in general is that there's so many different ways to do it. And I feel like each kind of way to do it appeals to a certain type of person. The same person who's going to respond to your mailer may not ever look at their phone for a text, or may think every phone text from somebody a number they don't know is spam or whatever. Right. And same thing with cold calls. Some people love answering the phone. Like they just want to talk on the phone. They will never answer a text. They're going to throw away all mail like it was junk, but they'll answer the phone. Some people don't want anyone to reach out to them. They just want to see a link when they're on their Facebook or on Google or whatever, and they click on it and they're like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about selling my land, and then do a PPC type thing. I think it's worthwhile to be across all of them, but again, you have to be able to adjust when things change. Like with texting, texting got pretty much shut down, and for me in October of 2022, it was like just turned off. And I was like, oh no more. Oh no. We had to pivot to cold calling. Is what we pivoted to.
Right. Yeah. 100%. So now one of the things that you mentioned on your in your bio, Justin, is that you sold over 1,100 acres in 2024. I mean, you've got a team of 24 people, if not more. In case you
that's right.
That's
accurate.
One or two
as of now. No, not yet.
So I mean, you're obviously like you've got a really large scale operation, really. So what would you say has led to where you're at right now in terms of building that team? What are some of those challenges that you faced in growing to that, and what's next for you? Are you at the peak, or what's like the 18-month vision?
Yeah, good question. Well, in my professional career before starting this business, I had pretty much always been in some sort of a leadership position. I always had a team working for me. And it was one of the things that I really enjoyed, was being able to break down barriers, empower people to make decisions, equip team members to actually produce results for the company, build a good culture. And so, and for me, when I was in the Navy, that was incredibly life-giving in a way that it's hard to describe. Like there was a purpose for the work that I was doing that was beyond just a job, maybe, if that makes sense. And then when I went into the corporate world and, working for Exxon or Amazon.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
It was great. I got paid well. That was fantastic. But I just was a cog, in a machine. I didn't feel like there was any real impact that I had or was making. And sure, I led teams of people. We had objectives, but it was just not the same. And so starting a business, it's much more like what it felt like in the Navy, right? Where I can make a lot of difference in a lot of folks' lives, the folks that work for me, that I just didn't have that same ability working in the corporate world. And so that's kind of led me down the path of, hey, I want to scale an operation, and I want to grow a team, and I want to build a culture, and I want to have like high-powered individuals working towards a common goal. And then the other was just a time constraint, right? I mentioned, I don't know, maybe it's not considered going that hard, but it felt like going pretty hard right off the bat, sending 15,000 mailers a month and dealing with all those leads alone, and while working a full-time job and having multiple kids and wanting to be healthy and work, do all the things that you have to do to be a normal human being. It was too much. And so there were clear gaps that I needed to fill. And so I just started filling them, like the first main issue I had was transactions and dispositions. So like I'm great on the phone. I was great at closing. It was pretty easy for me to put together mailers and send out mailers and that kind of thing. Finding time to call the leads back, I didn't have a ton of trouble with that. I would just use little gaps in my day to call them back and start negotiations. But once we had something under contract, actually communicating with them, following up with the title company, getting surveys, getting whatever other things we needed done, that's just like a lot of consistent work that needs to be done every single day. And I just didn't have the bandwidth to keep doing that. So I brought in a transaction coordinator who's still with me today, 3.5, almost 4 years later, my longest serving employee. And then awesome. I brought in a dispo, somebody who can list properties on Facebook and just communicate with seller or buyers on the properties that we're selling and tee them up for offers that I could negotiate and close. And then it was, it just kept kind of snowballing from there, where we just keep filled in key roles. And as the operation scaled, then we needed a layer of, I say we because I'm talking about the team, but I needed a layer of kind of driving oversight in there. Not necessarily like a manager kind of class, but people who owned results and actually improved the business for the business rather than me driving all the improvements from the top. And so that's led to kind of an acquisitions team with an operations head and a couple of managers over smaller teams inside of that business. And then same thing with the sales operations manager, dispo manager who's over the operations, and then sales assistants that work to do different tasks in the dispositions team. And then project management to fill in, an executive assistant to help kind of coordinate a ton of things like closings and payroll and other things that come with scaling a team. That's kind of been the evolution of the team. And what's next, I think, was the other part of that question.
Yeah.
I focus pretty hard on building a business that I don't want to say runs without me, because it doesn't necessarily run without me, nor do I necessarily want it to. Like I like the role that I'm in. I like coaching my team. I like setting big picture objectives. I love seeing the results and celebrating the team as they produce. I've been able to, though, through hiring the right people in the right spot, focus on a lot of larger, higher potential deals. And so that's really what I'm spending a lot of time doing now, is deals that require.
Are you implementing EOS?
Yeah, we utilize EOS. Yes, that's exactly how we kind of run the general meeting cadence and planning of the business. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. I interrupted you, but that was because when you said that piece, that's what sparked. So finish out your thought there too.
Yeah, no, I just, the things I'm working on now are kind of larger scale, multi-million-dollar developments, building roads, funds, raising money from LPs, managing 3 to 5 year projects.
Sure.
And that's something that, it's hard for me to like hire somebody to do, right? There's a whole lot of different aspects to that than just scaling a kind of a land flipping and small subdivision type business. The bigger projects
hard
require...
but possible.
Yeah, hard but possible. It's kind of been a very logical kind of process of going into different verticals, maybe within the real estate or land investing space.
Sure. So who is after all that, who is the best leader that you ever worked for, and what did you take away from working underneath him that you now implement into your own business?
Oh man, that is such a good question. The best leader I've had 2 really exceptional
okay, tell me both.
leaders that I worked under.
Yeah.
So let me just like quick aside. A lot of people leave the military service and they didn't enjoy it. And I think most of the time it's because they had really bad commanding officers or junior officers or whatever that were in charge of them. And it wasn't a good experience. I had the incredible benefit and blessing of having 2 really, really caring and exceptional commanding officers on my submarine. And yeah, I mean, they were both just fantastic. The first one, his name is Bill. He was just like set the example and tone in a way that it's just hard to describe. He led by example and was an incredible mentor. Like, I think he saw his role, obviously his ultimate responsibility, but he didn't lead with fear. He didn't lead with, my way or the highway. He led through example and through mentorship. And he was very well respected by the crew, very well respected by his superiors, set an incredible command culture for our submarine that made really challenging deployments feel a whole lot better than they otherwise could have. And then the second commanding officer, his name was Kelly Lang, and he was like the epitome of a servant leader. Like, he had his personal, here's just like a perfect example. He was super fit, super into fitness. And he had a personal goal of not letting any sailor ever beat him on the physical fitness test for the military. And he's in his mid 40s, and some of the sailors coming in are 18, 19, like 20, 21, like peak, like, health wise,
peak physical time frame, and they're getting their ass kicked by a 40-year-old.
Oh yeah, he would. Yeah, I mean, he'd do 150 push-ups, and he could do like 50 pull-ups. He reminded me of oh my god, what's that guy's name? That he's always running everywhere. Oh gosh,
Forrest Gump?
No. It'll come to me. He's the guy. We don't go there. I'm not going to cuss on the podcast.
No, you're good. You're good.
No. But he was just he just set the example. Servant leader. Never had anybody do anything that he wouldn't do.
Sure.
Yeah, he was just there. Yeah, present.
And so, from Bill and Kelly, what do you implement that you took from them into your own company with your team?
I think one of the lessons I learned on the submarine was how much impact you have over your team, your division, your guys. Like when I worked on one of the things that was the biggest deal was after deployment, we've been gone, and even before deployment, both of these, after and before deployment, we are on the ship all day, every day for like the month before and then the month after we get back from deployment to get the ship ready for another crew to then come on and take it out. All the maintenance, all the workups, everything that needs to be fixed and changed and set up differently, whatever it might be. And deployment, obviously, we're gone completely. Like we're totally gone. People cannot see their family. There's no FaceTime. It's not like a service ship where you can get internet and FaceTime your family. Like there's nothing. You might get an email every couple weeks. That's like a couple lines. That's all of the data we can get. We're totally gone. Black hole. So when in that month before deployment, when everybody's working 20-hour days, 15-hour days, whatever on the boat, trying to get their maintenance done, as the division officer, as a junior officer, you have a ton of power to make sure your team is set up for all the maintenance and tasks that they need to do so that they are out as early as possible. So that while they're still in port, they can go home and see their families at a reasonable time, go have dinner with their families. And if you're a bad junior officer or a bad division leader, you don't do those things. And your team is there until 10 p.m. every night because you have not set them up properly for success. And so that type of breaking down barriers and making sure everybody could do what they need to do to spend time with their family, which is what everyone wants to do. I mean, most people don't live to work, right? They work to live. And the live part is pretty important, right? And so that's just a kind of a philosophy I've adapted for my team, and breaking down barriers, making sure they're set up for success, having kind of an open line of communication. I've got a link that anybody on the team can book a call with me to talk about any issue that's happening. Nobody abuses it, thankfully, but they can if there's some issue that they need help solving or help thinking through. I always make sure I'm available to be there for them.
With your journey and what you're doing now, when will you feel like you've made it?
Oh my God, that's a hard question to answer. You know, I feel like I have made it in the sense that before starting a business and before kind of any success in that business, I always felt like I want to fire. Like everybody knows about fire, right? Financial independence, retire early. I was like, yeah, I want to fire. I want to retire early. But I had no idea what that actually looked like. I didn't know. I didn't have like a clear vision. Or meant I didn't have a clear vision for what will my life look like when I'm fired. What am I going to do with my time? Am I going to just be leisurely and like go travel the world and you know?
What am I going to do at 1 p.m. on Tuesdays?
Yeah, exactly. And so as I've gotten a little older, I'm 35. I'm not that old, but I've got 3 kids. Things
got a little older.
I got a little older.
You got like a third. You're only a third of the way through your life so far.
Yeah. Oh God, I hope you're right. I really do. I hope I live to 100 and whatever 5. That'd be amazing. But priorities have just shifted, right? My priorities are more evolved around like, how am I raising my kids? Like, how much time do I get to spend with them? What am I doing in my community? How am I fostering friendships and relationships that are going to last my whole life? How much time am I spending with my parents? And my current job, my current company allows me to think about those things and structure a life that's really enjoyable. And yeah, it's busy. And I think maybe my wife would have a different answer than I do, but I feel really fulfilled with the work that I'm doing. And it's just fun being able to work on complicated projects and see the results directly from your input. That was kind of one of the things that was frustrating working in a W-2 where you're kind of beholden to a company with very limited upside. It doesn't necessarily matter how much work I put in. I may get a 10% raise. Beautiful. Like that's like the limit, you know, maybe some stock options that vest in 3 to 5 years, but that's the limit incrementally on a year-to-year basis. But when you start a company, there's not really a limit. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do.
Because even on the company, because even on the company path, you know, to your exact point there, it's like the only thing you have to look forward to is maybe like if you were all the way up the chain to the CEO, right? Like maybe make $50 million in your lifetime, but give 40 years of your life away for it. Right. And then
and I mean that's a ton of money. Like let's be real. That's an incredible amount of money. But there's a lot of what ifs
there too, right? Like that's like you're all the way up the chain, you know? Most people I think they don't realize, like they look at it and it's like 10 million, you know what I mean? Which is still a nominal amount of money compared to the average person. One of the things that you said was most people, and I think how you phrased it was most people live to, they work to live versus live to work. I think most people actually do live to work because they haven't cracked the code on how to break out of that. And I think some people are okay with that. And I think there's others that are struggling. And then there's the others that, you know, and I think it all comes down to mindset. But like, you know, one of the things that I can see someone that's listening to this episode having an objection and thinking, well, maybe that's not in it for me is because they weren't a college educated person who served in the Navy under great leaders and all these other things, and they don't have money. So like, what would you tell to that person that's just trying to keep it all afloat? Maybe they've got a family, you know, what would you tell to that person if they were wanting to get started and do real estate?
Yeah, well, to be fully transparent, there's been a lot of advantages that I have. I mean, like, there's no question, right? You know, where which is not a bad thing. For the record, no,
I'm just playing devil's advocate of like that guy that's listening. It's like, Justin, I don't have all these things, man. I don't have this background. I made bad decisions and wasted half my 20s. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking for that guy, that's like, dude, like, I was still working at McDonald's thinking I was going to be a rock star at 30, bro. Like, I'm just trying to live free now.
That's great. There's literally nothing that I've done in real estate that required anything that I did before starting to do real estate. Even money, I would say. Okay, I had the luxury of just being able to delay finding other people's money to invest in deals for a period of time to establish a track record, which meant I just didn't have to give up as much equity on the front end as I would have otherwise had to do if I was going out to raise money from people day one, deal one, right?
Right.
I was able to take a lot of personal risk, bet on myself, without raising money from other people, hold on to more of that equity, establish a track record, and now I'm going out to other people to raise quite a bit of money. So I guess to anybody who's saying, I don't have this background, I don't have this cash,
right?
You can learn the skills required to close people. Like, you can learn the skills required to find and identify deals. You don't have to enter in at a certain scale or a certain amount of production. All you need is that first deal to understand how the process works. Right. And then get your second deal, and then start thinking about processes, and then thinking about the people that you need to execute on those processes so that you're not doing all the work. And it's an iterative approach to growth. It's not like you just jump in and you've got it all. It's like somebody always says, overnight successes take 10 years. That's however the saying goes.
Yeah.
And that's so true. I mean, you hear those stories, and people put on a good face on podcasts and they show all the success they're having. I'll be the first to say, like, it has not been always easy. I mean, there's been no joke months where I'm like, I have $4,000 in my business bank account right now. Like, how am I going to make payroll? I've been waiting on these 10 properties to sell, and every single one of them has been delayed. And these 3 contracts fell out, and I've got investors to pay. And it's like, there's a whole lot of stress and coordination that has occurred. It's not all been rainbows and butterflies. Obviously, we've had more success than not, which is why we're still rolling and growing and scaling. But it's been tumultuous, to say the least.
Great answer. I love that. That was a great answer. Learn, go take action, fall on your face a little bit. Don't do it too bad, and then just keep doing it. Rinse and repeat, and find ways to buy back your time. I mean, that's the whole, there's the system, folks. You heard it here first. Justin just taught you how to go be a billionaire in real estate. Go do it.
You can, anybody listening can literally, if they have a cell phone, can start cold calling folks. Right. And finding data and skip tracing and whatnot is not hard. You can find people's phone numbers for free. You just can't do it in bulk and mass and get a huge list of phone numbers, but you can still do
longer.
That. So it's going to take longer, right? But it's not a very high cost for you to just go and start calling people.
But 15 grand once every 4 months is still more than you make at McDonald's, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, all that to say, to get started, you literally have to take action, and that honestly is the hardest part. I mean, for me, I probably listened to, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of hours of podcasts before I actually did something. Sure. I was like, how do I make this perfect business? How do I figure this out? And the answer is, there isn't a way to do it. You just have to freaking do it and learn, and you iterate and you get better and you see what works, and you make mistakes and you lose money, and that hurts. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that again. So how do I get better at this thing that lost me money?
You heard it here first, folks. Justin Piche. If anybody wants to connect with you more, if I don't stop us now, we're gonna end up talking for like 3 hours. So, if anyone wants to connect with you, learn more about you, Justin, where should they go for that?
Yeah, I have a land specific, kind of a higher level land specific podcast called the Ground Game Podcast. Me and my friend Clay talk about like the business side of it. Not necessarily what's the right marketing technique. Like, well, what's the, I don't know. It's not like an interview show. It's me and him looking introspectively about our businesses and our operations, how we've scaled, what we've learned, how we manage teams, how we hire, how we fire, and funny stories, share, whatever. So if anybody wants
all
to
the nerdy business stuff that people like me will enjoy listening to, that'll actually make you more money.
Yep. So you can go to thegroundgame.io. I have a little website that's justinpiche.com. And then I'm somewhat active on X. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I think the handle is scouting, 4 land, at scouting for land on most of those platforms.
Scouting for Land. Go check out his site. Follow his podcast if you want to learn how to make more money and level up. So, Justin, thanks for being here. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's show, and we will see you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.